Imagine walking into an event created to honor real-life heroes, the kind of people who risk everything to save strangers, and somehow stealing every headline without even being on the guest list. That's exactly what happened when Meghan Markle and Prince Harry showed up at Kevin Costner's charity concert, a night meant to celebrate firefighters and first responders, but instead turned into yet another chapter in the ongoing royal soap opera. What should have been about courage and sacrifice suddenly became about drama, control, and one alleged slap that now has the internet zooming in frame by frame like amateur detectives. Kevin Costner hosts this event every year, the 805 Live Concert, named after Santa Barbara's area code. It's supposed to be lighthearted, music, barbecue, cowboy hats, and a focus on raising money for people who literally run into burning buildings. No paparazzi circus, no royal drama, no distractions, just good vibes and good causes. But when Meghan and Harry arrived, all of that got snatched away. They weren't headliners, they weren't sponsors, they weren't even supposed to be there. Yet they rolled in with a full entourage, ignoring the event's casual Western theme, and turned what should have been a low-drama fundraiser into a spotlight war. Meghan's history with this concert isn't exactly smooth. She wasn't invited last year, and the year before that, she reportedly dampened the atmosphere with erratic behavior and an obsession with grabbing the microphone. So, expectations for her attendance this time? Zero. But instead of bowing out gracefully, she and Harry showed up like it was their personal stage, photographers in tow, ready for the headlines. Witnesses claim that before the show even began, a staff member politely approached Meghan to remind her she wasn't scheduled to speak on stage. Meghan smiled, nodded, and said she wasn't planning to. But then, in a move straight out of reality TV, she allegedly switched her handbag to her free hand and delivered a calculated slap across the woman's face. Not a clumsy bump, not an accident, a deliberate hit that shocked those nearby. People were left wondering, who does that? Over a microphone you were never even offered? Harry, standing right there, didn't intervene. Instead, he awkwardly placed a hand on her back, half embarrassed, half trying to calm her down, while Meghan reached for his hand like a guilty child caught red-handed. That moment, people say, exposed the real Meghan, the mask slipping yet again in public. And here's the thing, it wasn't just about that slap, it was about the pattern. Meghan's track record with staffers quitting, aides whispering about mistreatment, and a reputation for volatility has been piling up for years. If she was willing to lash out in public at a charity worker, what does that say about what happens behind closed doors? That's the question everyone keeps asking. But the story doesn't stop there, because when the media covered the event, the version they printed looked almost unrecognizable. People magazine ran a puff piece, making it seem like Meghan was just a graceful, supportive wife standing quietly by while Harry shined. They even claimed she briefly hugged him before watching from the sidelines. The reality, according to attendees, was the exact opposite. She clung to Harry the entire time, gripping him like she was afraid he'd vanish if she let go. Photos showed her glued to his side, refusing to let him have even a moment alone in the spotlight. Once again, Meghan's PR machine had gone into overdrive. The tactic is always the same: stir up drama, dominate the narrative, then flood media outlets with polished photos and carefully crafted sound bites. But people are starting to see through it. You can only rewrite the story so many times before the cracks become impossible to ignore. And the fallout from this particular night was massive. Instead of headlines celebrating the firefighters or reviews of the performances, the news cycle revolved entirely around Meghan's uninvited antics. Even Kevin Costner, the host, had his personal life overshadowed. Reports about him dating someone who resembled his ex-wife were drowned out by Meghan's drama. An entire community fundraiser designed to uplift first responders was hijacked by a duchess desperate for attention. To make it worse, Meghan and Harry didn't even donate. No sponsorships, no foundation support, not even a symbolic check. They contributed nothing but their presence and a personal photographer following them around like it was a Vogue cover shoot. Attendees dressed in cowboy hats and denim to fit the event's theme. Meghan and Harry looked stiff, somber, like they were attending a press conference rather than a barbecue. The disconnect couldn't have been clearer, and yet Meghan's team worked overtime to spin the story. They pushed the idea that she had let Harry shine and stepped aside gracefully. But the photos told a very different story, one of control and dominance, where she positioned herself front and center, scanning the crowd for disapproval while holding Harry in place like a prop. For many people, this wasn't just about an uninvited guest. It was about a disturbing pattern of behavior. Meghan inserts herself into events, turns them into personal spectacles, and somehow manages to leave chaos in her wake. Staff members whisper, former aides hint at NDAs, and rumors swirl of insiders who might soon speak out. If even one civil complaint arises from this alleged slap, it could trigger a domino effect, unleashing testimonies from those who worked closely with her but stayed silent out of fear or legal obligation. And it's not just the alleged aggression, it's the obsession with image. Meghan brings her own photographer, her own PR team, her own narrative. She doesn't wait for history to unfold, she tries to rewrite it in real time. But the public is catching on. Every glossy headline is met with thousands of skeptical comments asking who the real aggressor island. Every attempt to play the victim is scrutinized more closely than the last. And then there's Harry. Once a prince admired for his courage, his rebellious spirit, and his willingness to defy tradition, he now looks like a shadow of himself. Where people once saw strength, they now see passivity. At the concert, he stood beside Meghan silently, allowing her to guide the narrative, his face puffy and checked out, as if he'd forgotten why he came at all. His projects, like the rumored Diana documentary, come across less like healing and more like exploitation, dragging his mother's memory into the spotlight for streaming deals. Meanwhile, Meghan's need for attention overshadows everything else, even the causes she claims to support. And that's the saddest part of this entire episode. Firefighters and first responders should have been the stars of that night. Their bravery should have been the headline. Instead, their moment was stolen, buried under tabloid chaos and viral gossip about a duchess who wasn't even supposed to be there. It's offensive, not just inappropriate, because when you insert yourself into a charity event and make it all about your own drama, you aren't just damaging your reputation, you're disrespecting the people the event was created to honor. And the pattern is undeniable. Meghan isn't misunderstood. She isn't being silenced. She's loud, deliberate, calculated, and her behavior keeps producing the same result, overshadowing the very causes she claims to support. The consequences may finally be catching up. Whispers of legal action grow louder. Staffers who once stayed quiet are reportedly on the verge of speaking. Former aides describe someone who could turn hostile in seconds if things didn't go her way. The mask is slipping, and people are beginning to wonder if the carefully curated image can survive much longer. The bigger picture here is simple. Meghan craves the spotlight, even if it comes at the expense of others. She needs the applause, the cameras, the narrative she can control. And Harry, once a man admired worldwide, has been reduced to a supporting role in her never-ending drama. He doesn't fight it, he doesn't redirect it, he follows quietly as she takes center stage again and again. The tragedy is that this isn't about power anymore, it's about validation. Meghan appears desperate, not for influence, but for attention, even if it means manufacturing stories that collapse under scrutiny. And each time she does it, the backlash grows. Every time her PR team spins a headline, more people call it out as fabrication. Every time she claims to be silenced, critics point to the endless interviews, the podcasts, the photo shoots. The narrative doesn't hold up anymore. What people remember from Kevin Costner's charity event isn't the music or the firefighters or the money raised. They remember the slap. They remember the way Meghan clung to Harry. They remember how a night meant for heroes was turned into another chapter of chaos. And maybe that's the real story. Not one isolated incident, but a pattern so glaring it can't be ignored. Meghan's need for the spotlight has become her undoing. The mask has slipped, and behind it, the image isn't royal, isn't graceful, and isn't misunderstood. It's desperate, calculated, and running out of time. All eyes are now on what happens next. Whether it's lawsuits, royal distancing, or a complete PR collapse, one thing is certain. The spotlight Meghan fought so hard to keep is about to turn into a spotlight she can't control. And when that happens, the story won't be about silencing her. It'll be about finally seeing her clearly.